Okay, ladies, so in class today, some of us read the beginning of this, basically all the way up to here. Okay, we read this. It was the introduction. But when you look at this line that is highlighted, "Here then, great soldier, setting foot, obey me." This is Circe speaking to Odysseus about what he needs to do in his upcoming journey down to the underworld. I'm going to read through this and I'm going to highlight the sections of items I want you to know. Okay, so let's look at this. Dig a well shaft, 4 arms square. Pour out libations round it to the unnumbered dead. Sweet milk and honey, then sweet wine, and last clear water, scattering handfuls of white barley. This section here is basically number 1. This is the first thing that she is asking him to do. Continuing to read, this will be the second thing she asks Odysseus to do when he is down in the underworld. Pray now with all your heart to the faint dead. Swear you will sacrifice your finest heifer is a cow, at home on Ithaca, and burn for them her tenderest parts in sacrifice, and vow to the Lord Tiresias, apart from all, a black lamb, handsomest of all your flock, thus to appease the nations of the dead. Okay, so now let's look for a minute at all the sections. So we looked at number 1. Number 2 is the praying and swearing the sacrifice of the cow back on Ithaca. And the third one is offering the black lamb. Okay? Reading further. Then slash the black ewe's throat and a ram, facing the gloom of Erebos, but turn your head away toward ocean. You shall see now souls of the buried dead in shadowy hosts. And now you must call out to your companions. This is the 4th section. The 4th thing that Circe has asked Odysseus to do once he gets down to the underworld in order to call on Tiresias. Continuing. Okay, moving on to the next item. To flay those sheep the bronze knife has cut down for offerings, burnt flesh of those below to sovereign death and pale Persephone. This is the 5th item that Circe asks Odysseus to perform while looking for Tiresias down in the underworld. And lastly, the 6th item, let's see, we'll do this pinky color. Meanwhile, draw sword from hip, crouch down, ward off the surging phantoms from the bloody pit until you know the presence of Tiresias. He will come soon, great captain, be it he who gives you course and distance for your sailing homeward across the cold fish-breeding sea. This is the 6th item. Odysseus needs to go through this situation here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, while he's in the underworld in order to receive the message from Tiresias. He is a ghost. Okay, to recap. In the first section here, Odysseus needs to dig a well, a hole, and pour out drinks around it while sprinkling barley. The second section here, he's going to pray. He's going to raise his hands and pray that he will burn a heifer back on Ithaca in order to gain the insight he needs while he's here. The third thing, while he's in front of his well, after he's done praying, he's going to offer up a black lamb. Number 4, he's going to take 2 animals, a ewe, which is a sheep, and a ram, and he's going to cut their throats and drain their blood into the hole he's dug. Okay? Spirits need to drink blood in order to speak in the underworld. The next thing he needs to do is to flay the sheep that he just killed and burn the bones and the offerings up to the gods. Basically, think about when we go to Mass, sometimes they burn the incense, and the smell and the smoke is rising as if it's an offering. Similar sort of idea there. The last thing here, number 6, he needs to hold his sword and wait. Wait for the spirit of Tiresias to come and give him his message. Now, meanwhile, other spirits in the underworld are going to want to talk to him. He is a human mortal down in the underworld. He's going to draw some attention. So he has his sword that he can shoo away, chase away the others he doesn't want to speak with, waiting for Tiresias. That is the situation that is going on here. So if we continue looking down here just briefly, as the goddess ended, dawn came stitched in gold. Now Circe dressed me in my shirt and cloak, put on a gown of subtle tissue, silvery, then wound a golden belt around her waist and veiled her head in linen, while I went through the hall to rouse my crew. So this is their last moments together, really, before he leaves. And he's going to get his men. They have been partying the night before because it is their last evening. All right, turning the page. I bent above each one and gently said, "Wake from your sleep. No more sweet slumber. Come, we sail. The Lady Circe so ordains it." They were soon up and ready at that word, but I was not to take my men unharmed from this place, even from this. Among them all, the youngest was Elpenor, no mainstay in a fight nor very clever, and this one, having climbed on Circe's roof to taste the cool night, fell asleep with wine. Waked by our morning voices and the tramp of men below, he started up, but missed his footing on the long, steep, backward ladder, and fell that height headlong. The blow smashed the nape cord, and his ghost fled to the dark. But I was outside, walking with the rest, saying, "Homeward, you think we must be sailing? To our own land? No. Elsewhere is the voyage Circe has laid upon me. We must go to the cold home of death and pale Persephone, to hear Tiresias tell of time to come." They felt so stricken upon hearing this, they sat down wailing loud and tore their hair. But nothing came of giving way to grief. Down to the shore and ship at last we went, bowed with anguish, cheeks all wet with tears, to find that Circe has been there before us, and tied nearby a black ewe and a ram. She had gone by like air. For who could see the passage of a goddess unless she wished his mortal eyes aware? Okay, so just take a look at what I've highlighted here. It's Elpenor, the youngest of the sailors, falls off the roof and dies, basically, before they leave. Interesting enough, his ghost flees in the darkness, right? They're going to the underworld. He now is a ghost. You know, think about the connection left hanging there by Homer. Basically, they're on their way by the end of this book. Please take some notes or reread through this if you need to.